major American cities that has never elected anything but a white male mayor. In cities like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, this barrier fell a generation or more ago. Even cities that don't boast particularly big black populations, like Seattle and Denver, have elected black mayors, in some cases more than one. But here in Boston, the old line held. Not anymore. Joining us now for her first national interview since becoming mayor of the great city of Boston is Kim Janey. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for being here and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I'm a big fan. Thank you for having me.
It's nice of you to say. Well, let me just ask you, one of the things you said in your speech when you're sworn in today was that you bring to this moment life experience that is different from the men who came before me. Tell me about what that means for this job, for the city of Boston, how that will influence this incredibly large job you're taking on now.
Well, as a woman growing up, as a little girl growing up in Roxbury, as a black woman who has lived through some of our darkest days in our city, I certainly bring all of that with me. But I also know that our city is a city of hope and possibilities. And so I am encouraged, certainly by what I saw when I visited my childhood alma mater. As you have said, I was bused during the desegregation era here in Boston. It was a very traumatic experience growing up, a very violent time in our city. And me sitting here as mayor does symbolize how far we've come as a city, but we have a lot of work to do. Yesterday, on my first full day as mayor, I had the opportunity to go back and see young people learning in the classroom. I actually visited a classroom where they were studying desegregation in Boston, and to be there in that classroom as someone who lived through that experience and able to share that experience with the students was pretty incredible. And to be there as the first black mayor and the first woman mayor for our city was just mind-blowing. It was great to see students in the classroom learning and engaged and not having to worry about that painful time in our history. That being said, we do have a lot of work to do in Boston. These issues, these challenges are not new. They are centuries old in the making. There is a lot of work to do when it comes to combating structural racism in our city, and I will bring my lived experience and my unique perspective as a black woman to this work.
It strikes me also that from a national perspective, Boston has a pretty unique role right now in the response to the pandemic, just because Boston is not only a tech hub, but also a healthcare capital for the country. And Massachusetts has had a hard time with COVID. Is the vaccine rollout in Boston and other elements, logistical elements of the COVID response now going to land in your lap as mayor as you take on these responsibilities?
Yes, it's a huge priority for me, making sure that we are rolling out the vaccine equitably. So communities that have been hardest hit, it's no surprise that communities of color have been hit particularly hard, disproportionately here in Boston and in other cities across our nation. And that's due to the pre-existing inequities before COVID. And so it is incredibly important that we make sure we're getting the vaccine out equitably, that we are reaching all communities and lifting up those who have been hardest hit. And that is a number one priority for me, so that we can reopen safely, make sure we're getting businesses open and workers back to work and our students back in the classrooms with their teachers and their peers.
Kim Janey, sworn in today as the new mayor of the great city of Boston. Again, congratulations. You have a huge task ahead of you. Godspeed. Come back frequently. And it's so good to see you in this job.
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Rachel. Take care.